before we do begin, I'd just like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land we're meeting on. This is the land of the Wurundjeri, and I'd like to pay my respects to their elders, both past and present. I'd also like to acknowledge a few special guests that we've got here today. So we've got Councillor Samantha Ratnam, who's the Mayor of Moreland, so welcome. Councillor Roberto Colanzi, the Mayor of the City of Yarra. Councillor Oliver Walsh from Darebin City Council. Councillor Amanda Stone from City of Yarra. Peter Hille, the Chair of Clifton, Hille, North Fitzroy Community Bank. Ben Rogers from Inner North Community Foundation. Stephen Lewis from AGA. Tony Coppola from the Northern RDA. Jane McNally from Melbourne Polytechnic. And I'd like to make a special welcome and thanks to Anthony O'Brien, who's the Executive Officer of the Brunswick Business Incubator, who's allowed us to host this event here today. And also, I'd like to thank Anthony for also allowing us as an organisation to actually be based here, so which is great. I'd also like to thank and welcome all of the people from business here today. And I think that it's really important in a Jobs for Youth campaign that we actually start to really engage with business, because at the end of the day, we're all employed by somebody, or work for someone, or provide services for someone. So without business in the mix, we probably don't have any jobs. And I'd also like to thank the Melbourne Polytechnic. There's a group of young people here today from Melbourne Polytech, and this is really what it's about. It's about actually trying to help young people into work. So I hope you guys enjoy the launch. All right. I'm just going to give a bit of background on how we got to where we've got to. Hang on, a bit of technical issues. We'll just sort this out first. There we go. So basically, the Inner Northern Youth Employment Task Force was established back in May 2014 to develop a strategy to address youth unemployment in the Inner North. The task force has 20 cross-sector members with representation from local leaders from community, business, local government, schools, educators, TAFE and university. And obviously there's a slide there that has sort of got some of the logos of the members on it. After forming the task force in 2014, a report was developed, the INYET report was developed to provide an evidence base for a collective response to the growing youth unemployment issue in Melbourne's Inner North. The report resulted in 22 recommendations and proposed to address the employment issues and 4 key elements for focus. So up there are the 4 key elements that we're actually trying to focus on with the task force, but also through the campaign. And they are very comprehensive, so we're not just focusing our energies on one thing. We're actually trying to work. We actually need to have lots of silver bullets all at once to actually resolve this issue. It's not a simple issue, it's actually very complex. And I'll quickly run through those 4, and they are building the skills and attitudes of young people. So we actually need to work with young people to get them up to the right level to be able to compete in the labour market. Building the capacity of local business to support young people. Building strong connections between business, schools, education providers and community agencies. And so it's a collaboration really across the whole region, with everyone actually trying to work together to align the effort. And obviously the last one there is actually about increasing access and opportunity to employment. Over the last 18 months, there have been a number of reports released around the issue of unemployment and employment in the future. The Foundations for Young Australian, for example, have released a report. Committee for Economic Development Australia, Social Ventures Australia, Brotherhood St Lawrence, and most recently Vic Health have actually put out reports around this issue and the impact that it'll have on young people into the future. You may have even seen 2 weeks ago on Four Corners program, there was an episode around this issue. So it's not, it's actually really come out into the public arena that the labour market's changing. We actually need to work together to actually change with it. I actually wanted to share just a couple of quick slides, and I think this is sort of just to contextualise, I suppose, where things are going and where we're at. These slides are out of Foundation for Young Australian report called The New Work Order. The report highlights some of the issues facing young people moving to the workforce now and into the future. So for example, 70% of young people currently entering the workforce are in jobs that will be radically affected by automation, which is pretty out there. The other thing that's happening is entry-level jobs are disappearing. 1 in 3 young people are unemployed or underemployed in Australia. So it's a very, we're not talking about a 5% youth, 5% unemployment. We're talking about 30% of our community, young people, are actually impacted on by this issue. The other thing that's obviously happening is jobs are less secure. We have temporary working arrangements, part-time working arrangements, and self-employment is becoming the norm. The other thing that I'll quickly just talk about is enterprise skills. So enterprise skills are transferable skills that enable young people to engage with the complex world and navigate the challenges that they will inherit. Enterprise skills are not just for entrepreneurs. They are skills that are required in many jobs. They have been found to be powerful predictors of long-term success. The jobs of the future demand enterprise skills, 70% more than the jobs of the past. So we need to develop a skill set that's actually around future skills, so we can actually all compete in that market. These same skills were identified in the Future Workforce Melbourne Inner North report released last year in October, which was commissioned by Northern RDA and the 7 Northern Region Councils. These skills were called STEM Plus skills in that report, and they have pretty much an alignment around that. So at a local level here in this region, we've actually identified the same issues. As part of today's launch, Kate Rizzo from the City of Yarra is actually going to talk about the Young Entrepreneurs in the North program, which actually picks up on exactly these skills. I'm going to move on to just a little bit about the campaign itself. So back in 2014, we ran a small pilot, which was funded through Youth Connections at the time, and in 2015, a larger scale campaign was held. We've been very fortunate to have an anchor funding partner in the Bendigo Bank, North Fitzroy Clifton Hille Community Bank, fund the campaign as a backbone sponsor for 3 years, from 2015 to 2017. We also have strong financial support and in-kind support from the Inner North Community Foundation, AGA, Melbourne Polytechnic, La Trobe University, Darebin City Council, Moreland City Council and the City of Yarra. The campaign also has significant in-kind support from the task force members, community organisations, schools and local business. In 2015, the Jobs for Youth campaign basically established a platform for a more coordinated approach across the region to promote and support opportunities for young people on their journey into the workforce. So up on the PowerPoint slide there is just some of the outcomes from 2015, and it will give you a bit of an idea around scale. So last year there were 91 organisations across the region involved in the campaign in some shape or form. There were 36 events in the calendar for young people. 30 local employers pledged 95 ways of helping young people, and most importantly there were 1,486 young people engaged in the campaign activity. In 2016, the campaign will have a much stronger focus on business and industry engagement to support our young people. I'm going to ask Andrew Horgan to come up and talk about the 2016 campaign. Andrew's role is Industry Engagement Manager here at Inner Northern Len, but he's also coordinating the Jobs for Youth campaign on behalf of the task force. So please make Andrew welcome. The other one. Yep.
Okay, thank you, David. I'd like to also just welcome everybody here to our new residents, and it's been great to be in the business incubator. I'm just going to give you a quick brief overview of the components of the Jobs for Youth campaign this year, and you'll see that we have 6 components of the campaign. Kicking off, we've got the talent community, which is the Jobs for Youth website. It's a talent community which is going to be the central communication piece for the campaign itself, but it has a couple of different areas which will be able to be very useful. The first bit with the talent community is actually employment opportunities, and it's actually a site that young people can go to investigate and to find employment opportunities that are actually specifically aimed at young people. So instead of getting lost in the world of Seek or one of the other types of websites, this narrows the field right down into entry-level jobs that young people can actually apply for directly online. They can register online. They can actually put their CVs up online here and create an Air CV, which is fairly useful in today's job market, given that probably a large percentage of jobs are through electronic sort of application process. So an electronic Air CV is pretty useful. Employers can also register on this website and post jobs on the website, and particularly potentially search for potential candidates through this process. So if young people are putting their CVs up there, then they can actually be searched for as well. The other part of the website is a resource centre, and it's for the central part of realistic job interviews, the speaker bank, which is a new initiative I'll talk about later, the calendar of events and activities, and David's mentioned that, and the notice board. Just to move on to the calendar of events and activities, it's both in an electronic format, as I said, on the website, and also in a print format. A number of booklets out the front there that you can gather up. The electronic calendar can be added to at any stage, so if there's organisations that are keen to be part of the campaign, they can still express an interest to run an activity. We can still put it up there, we can still promote it through the events calendar and on the notice board. So the notice board is the other component. Currently, as David pointed out, there's over 30 activities, and we're hoping to grow that to in excess of 40 activities across the region this year. Moving on to RIGI, Realistic Job Interviews, a program that's been around for a while now. It's a research investigation project where young people learn how to write a resume, how to search for a job, and then come to a mock interview. Currently this year there's 24 schools and community organisations involved in the program, which is the biggest number we've had involved over the last 4 or 5 years. We have 50 odd people who have already expressed an interest in interviewing young people and still looking for some more people. So if you're interested in helping out, that'll be fantastic. Currently there's 850 young people actually enrolled or involved in that particular program this year. And again, that's a fairly large number that we're hoping to build their capacity. This year also the social engagement and media, we have a working party, we have a number of different strategies which include the print collateral, the website. We also have Twitter and Snapchat and a few other things. There is a working party and that is made up of a number of organisations involved in the task force, and their role is to look to grow the communication not only within the organisations involved in the campaign, but organisations and other people outside of the campaign. We know with social media it's a very powerful tool and can quickly be moved to new areas very quickly, opposed to some of the old things, and we need to obviously get people involved with that. Also, the other thing that Brett Salinger will be doing this year is a new initiative, is running a virtual media centre, which will involve young people from schools in particular going out and actually reporting on the events and talking to people that are participating in the events and finding out views, particularly from young people. So young people's voice comes into the campaign, and it's a great way to actually bring them in to the campaign, and they will be reporting to Brett as a chief editor or chief staff editor, and they'll actually be working like a journalist or in this new medium of social media. And there's some great examples of young people who are 15, 16, 18 that are actually already in the industry and creating their own pathways already, that entrepreneurial stuff. The Health Skills and Employment Forum will be at La Trobe later on. That'll focus on the health, which is identified as one of the large growth industries within our region, looking at the different pathways and actually the number of different jobs that will actually be available coming up in the next 5 to 10 years. So advising young people into the career pathways, but what are the number of jobs that are going to be there, and it's pointless sending off into areas if there's not going to be the number of jobs available. Better off to give them really good, strong advice about the potential opportunities. And finally, as David pointed out, the business and industry engagement. We've got we need to obviously create a really strong platform of communicating with business and industry. There's a piece of literature been developed last year by a working party on how young people can actually work for you. Looking at the skills that they have. I mean, currently identified in the report that a lot of businesses don't have very good websites or don't have very good communication techniques. We just talked about young people with their IT skills and their communication techniques. When the job role could include doing 5, 10, 15% of that communicating with other businesses to create business, instead of just saying, you just do the technical skills, that's all we want you to do. Utilise the skills. So that's how young people can work for you. There's also the employer pledge, and the working party on that has got three key areas. We're just going to try and increase the communication to business and industry about employing young people, getting involved, how to help young people, and actually getting engaged in the sort of thing. Whoops. Okay, so just quickly, the employer pledge event. Got a couple of new initiatives this year. You'll see we've got a skills friendly championship which will actually be run at Northern College of the Arts and Technology. It's for young people who are doing a vet in school program or a school-based apprenticeship. It's a pilot, so it'll focus on a couple of just different trade areas. It's under the Work Skills Australia banner, and if you're not aware, tomorrow is actually World Skills Day for youth, so it fits in quite nicely with that. So that's a new initiative, and the other new initiative is the Speaker Bank. So what we're trying to do is provide an opportunity for business and industry people through the Employer Pledge to have easy entry points or more complex entry points for them. So if you don't have a lot of time, but you can go and talk to a class, to speak to a class about what you do for an hour, is a valuable thing. The research says that the younger that we can talk to young people about their career aspirations, that they potentially can end up earning or getting into the employment market a lot quicker. So that's a couple of new initiatives on the employer pledge. The vocational mentor bank, if anybody's interested in vocational mentoring, is part of one of the recommendations that came out of the report a couple of years ago. We're still working on how that's actually shaped up. I'll leave it there, but if you're interested in talking to me further about some of that stuff, please come and see me. Thank you.
All right. You've also you've got a show bag there today, so there is some marketing collateral in there, and we've just got a slide up there around the guide. So we've actually provided a guide for employers. There's also a couple of other ways of getting involved in the campaign. Andrew spoke about the social media. The campaign actually has a Facebook page, Twitter page, and Instagram, and obviously a website. So we're actually trying to engage with young people through that medium, and obviously trying to engage with as many people as far as wide as possible to get the word out there. Our next speaker today is actually Kate Rizzo, who's the Education, Employment and Training Pathways Youth Development Officer at the City of Yarra City Council, and she's going to come up today and talk about the Young Entrepreneurs in the North program, which is really exciting. So Kate, here she is. Over to you.
Thank you. First, I would like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri people, the traditional owners on the land on which we stand today, and pay my respect to their elders, both past and present. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. So, my name is Kate, and I work for Youth Services at the City of Yarra, and that is my job title, Education, Employment and Training Pathways. And I'm telling you this because it's quite a unique job. And Yarra Council is actually one of very few councils in Victoria that dedicate to whole person, and in Yarra's case, 2 people, so I share this job with another woman, 2 people to the education, employment and training pathways of young people. So I work with young people, but I also work with schools, community, like the community sector at large. I work with many people in this room. I see many familiar faces, and I work with them to help them find education, employment, training that they love, that they're passionate about, but that also helps our economy grow. And I particularly like the word pathways because, to me anyway, it represents that going to school, going to university, and then getting a job, it's not the only way anymore. And it's starting to prove that it's not actually working anymore, and that's what I'm going to speak about. So we have already seen some of these, but yeah, 1 in 3 young people are unemployed or underemployed, which is a huge, a really big amount. And we're at the highest level since the 1990s. What what I really want to get across to you today is that 70% of young Australians are getting their first job in a role that in 10 to 15 years' time is not going to exist anymore. That job isn't going to be around. So these jobs are going to be disappearing in the next 10 to 15 years, so we need to change what we're teaching these young people. And graduates are finding it harder to find employment, and what we've found as well is that employers are reporting that young people are coming to them without the skills that they actually need to do the job that they've spent 4 years at university studying for. So these changes, all these statistics and these changes are contributed to three things. Automation. So our machines are getting so smart that they're now doing jobs that traditionally humans used to do, that we used to do. Globalisation, you know, gone are the days that you have to go into the office to do your work. You can now sit on the couch at home or do your work, go to a co-working space, work from a cafe. I do that a lot of the time. And collaboration. So now we're seeing so many people do many different jobs with many different employers at the same time. So take me, for example. I work 3 days a week for youth services and I run my own small business. And that equivalates to full-time work and to a full-time income. And I often work from home on my couch, from a cafe. So yeah, basically young people need to create the type of world that they want to live in. But it's our job, everybody in this room, to make sure that they have the skills and the tools necessary to bring in this change and to grow our economy. So how do we do that? We need to change what we teach and we need to change the way we teach. And I'm not a teacher, but I have spent I've spent a lot of time in schools, and I come from a whole family of teachers, so I hope I don't offend any teachers. But we need to teach things like creativity, innovation, adaptability, social intelligence, communication, problem solving is a really big one, financial literacy, resourcefulness. You'd be surprised at how many young people come to me and don't know how to fill out their tax file number form, or say, what's superannuation? Do I have to pay superannuation? You know, they really don't know about this stuff. And these are 18, 19-year-olds that I'm talking about. Digital literacy. So things like coding, like how to design a website from the back end, these are things that within the next 2 to 3 years, young people need to know. And how do we need to teach this stuff? Through experience, through hands-on training, standing up in front of a classroom and speaking to young people. It doesn't work anymore. They need to feel it. They need to do it themselves. And through trial and error and collaboration. So not just collaboration with the young people in the classroom, but with businesses, industry professionals, lots of different organisations. We need to co-design these opportunities with young people. And the last thing that I think is really important, we actually need to promote entrepreneurship and other non-traditional pathways as viable career options. I know when I was 22 and I was starting my business, and as I said, my whole family are teachers, you know, they came at me with the, oh, are you sure? Who's going to support you? What if you fail? That sounds really hard. Don't you want to get a real job? So we really need to promote entrepreneurship as a really viable option. So basically we need to reinvent the way we teach kids, and we need to prepare them for a future that we don't actually even know exactly what it looks like just yet. So youth services, obviously we don't work in schools, so we saw these issues, we saw these trends, and we thought, what can we do? So we last year developed a program called Young Entrepreneurs, and this year we've broadened our horizons and we've called it Young Entrepreneurs in the North. So last year it was a partnership between youth services and the Economic Development Unit, and we had about 10 young people that came and had business ideas, and it came about, yes, because of the research, but also we had young people coming to us and saying, I've got this idea, I don't know where to go with it. I don't know what to do with it. Last year we won an award. It was the National Award for Local Government, the Youth Economic Participation Award. So this year we've partnered with Moreland City Council and Darebin City Council, and we've now have 18 participants, and between 17 to 25 years old. It's a 14-week program, so it happens every Thursday night. It's happening tonight. and it's hands-on training. They're collaborating together, they're learning skills, they're learning tools, they're learning how to design a business logo, how to network. They'll also receive a mentor, so they're going to have a mentor that has been through this process, has started their own businesses, knows the challenges. And we're going to have like a pitching night and lots of networking opportunities. So the pitching night, there's going to be people there that are potential investors or would like to donate. And if any of you would like to come to that night, please let me know. I'll stick around afterwards. So these are some of the people that graduated last year, and we had like Agum, the girl, she wants to create her own fashion label. So once she finished the project, she got into fashion at RMIT, and she now got a part-time job in the retail industry, and she's currently in the process of working with another woman, designing her patterns and putting fabric together to make it work. Agum, which is on the end, Yacht, which is on the end, he is in his production phase now, and he designed a vest for when you're on a bicycle and you don't want to use your hands to indicate where you're going. He's got transmitters on the handles of the bike, and they send a signal to the vest, and if you want to go left it lights up, and if you want to go right it lights up. Yeah. So he's actually in the production phase right now, and let's go. And he's talking to manufacturers, and he already has certain sports stores that have committed to selling his product for him. So there's some of the references I use. So basically, this program, Young Entrepreneurs in the North, it gives them access to knowing that building your own business is a viable option. It builds their skills, their confidence, it helps them network with people, as well as many other things. But I'll leave you with this. It takes a village to raise a child. It really does. So every single one of us in this room, we need to work together. We need to collaborate to bring about these changes and equip young people with the skills and the tools that they're going to need for the future, because, they're our future. They're our next generation. So if anybody would like to, I know we're a bit pressed for time, so I won't answer any questions now, but I'm hanging around, and if anybody has any questions, please come up and ask, or please email me if you want to be involved in the Young Entrepreneurs. We have business mentors, we're collaborating with lots of different businesses around in Yarra, so please get in contact with me. Thank you.
It's a fantastic program, and it's great that the three councils are actually collaborating on such a great thing. And obviously, as we get down the track, we're hoping that that particular program is very successful when we can actually start to look at scaling some of these things up, which is fantastic. And Kate really talked about that, enterprise skills. And it's a fitting thing that we're actually here in a business incubator. This incubator was developed 15 years ago when the economy was different, but and the incubator is actually moving with it. And I think it's interesting being a tenant here, just talking to the businesses that are here. The diverse range of businesses in this incubator here is actually quite fascinating. And I think there's probably some potential to develop a partnership with the incubator about how do we actually get kids and schools in here to actually tap into some of these fantastic people working here. So over the last 18 months, there has actually been a lot of work done by councils, and that program that we just heard about is one of them. I'm actually now going to ask each of the three councils, a representative from each of the councils, to come up and say a few words. So first of all, I'd like to welcome Samantha Ratnam, who's the Mayor of Moreland, to come up and say a few words.
Thanks very much, David. Good afternoon, everyone. Lovely to see you here this afternoon and on what is a really fantastic occasion. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we meet on the lands of the Wurundjeri people and pay my respects to elders past and present. It is really wonderful as a councillor to be part of wonderful campaigns like this, the Jobs for Youth campaign. I'd like to acknowledge my fellow councillors and mayors from adjoining councils, staff from all three councils with us here today, members of the community and members of our business and economic development community and broader communities as well. well. It's really wonderful to see these types of partnerships develop, because they are the basis on which that we can tackle really complex issues that we face in the next couple of decades. This is an area that is of particular interest and passion for me as a social worker by trade and someone who's worked in research at the Youth Research Centre at the University of Melbourne. And through that work and through my work experience, I know what many of you know and many of you see every single day, that young people in our current climate, in our current world, are facing times that are rapidly changing from the ones that their parents and or mentors have experienced. And in many ways, young people have always faced very lots of competing demands, but I'd say it would be the intensity and the pace of change that's quite unique to young people's experiences today. We know that young people are told that they need to finish school, they've got to do an apprenticeship or do some vocational education or go to university. They've also got to work part-time at the same time to sustain their study and some sort of a roof over their heads. They've got to earn enough to buy a home and have some sort of social life and some sort of work-life balance, and they're told to do all of this by the age of 30 to be viewed as a success in today's society. And that puts immense pressure on young people, and some of the really interesting research work that we're seeing is looking at the impact, particularly on young people's mental health, with that type of intensity of pressure placed upon them. But we know that young people are capable of just so much, and Kate's presentation demonstrated just how bright the future is in hands of wonderful people like her and all the people working to provide new employment opportunities and face the challenges that we meet. We know that young people, through this type of pressure, develop incredible flexibility, incredible adaptability, and have this hunger for change and growth. And they bring that into their workplaces. And I think employers who employ these young people are very lucky to have such driven young people as part of their industries and employment workplaces. So through these challenges, and we've seen the growing rise of youth unemployment, those figures are quite staggering, and we know we've got higher unemployment levels, particularly in the north of many of our municipalities represented here today, as we see a decline in manufacturing and automotive industries. But we also see new industries burgeoning, and the Business Incubator is a wonderful space to have this launch, because it is at the heart of the new industries that are going to create the opportunities and employment of the future. And we know that that young people from migrant backgrounds face particular challenges in terms of discrimination or stereotypes that they also have to battle as they enter workplaces. So there are these competing challenges of young people being told who they should be, and then there are also competing ideas of how young people are. And young people have to navigate those myriads of messages as they're entering the workplace. And I recall, in terms of my own first professional workplace, I graduated as a social worker relatively young, and it was a time when my industry was changing. So the universities had just changed their curriculum to allow undergraduates to do social work as a degree. Until then, you had to be a mature age student or return after significant years of work experience before you could even enter a social work bachelor's degree. So I entered the workplace with very little professional work experience in my sector, but lots and lots of volunteer experience and a real hunger and thirst and passion for the work that I did. And I remember my first break, a few months after finishing university, sending those resumes and applications off, not getting even an acknowledgement, and how heartbreaking that was to a young person trying to get their foot into the door. But I do remember the first interview, the first of the interviews I got, and which then resulted in my first break into the field in terms of into drug and alcohol rehabilitation services. I remember going through that process. There was a group interview, there was an individual interview, and then at the end of that I was successful in getting my first social work job as a residential group therapist. And the CEO gave me some feedback at the end, and he said, you know, I knew that you were entering the workplace without much professional experience, but I looked at your academic record and I looked at your volunteer work experience, and that told me that you could juggle multiple things at once, and that's what I was looking for. And they wanted a diversity of faces in their workplace, so they gave me a chance, and the rest is history. So I encourage all workplaces to also shift the way you think about young people, because young people can really, really surprise you. I'm also very proud to be on a council amongst a number of councils here with us today who've really invested very significantly into supporting young people's employment and facing some of these challenges. Our Economic Development Unit, of which our staff, wonderful staff, are here with us today, and our Youth Services program do some marvellous work in this space and work together to be able to create these opportunities. And I think it is through partnership that we'll really make some breakthroughs. You've heard about the Young Entrepreneurs in the North program, which we're very, very proud of. We've also got a couple of other programs like the Work at Coles program that provides actual workplace training and exposure to the work environment to have young people ready when the job opportunities arise. And that's in its planning phase, and we look forward to seeing many successes of that in the coming months and years. We've also got a Work Inspirations program, and Youth Services are currently running a work experience program aimed at introducing local young people into a range of jobs and professions available in local government. With an emphasis on entry-level jobs, as we've seen, which should be a particular focus. This is just some of the highlights of really amazing work that happens across councils and local governments to be able to tackle this issue of youth unemployment and provide greater opportunities. Our ongoing work includes things like traineeships, work experience, student placements, business CEO leaders roundtables, developing local leaders initiative, and the Moreland Job Link website. So these are a number of things that we've committed and are invested in continuing to grow, and I'm sure we're going to see many new projects that are going to help us join with campaigns like this to really provide the opportunities for the future. And finally, I'd like to encourage any businesses with us today here from the Moreland community who are able to provide employment opportunities to take the pledge. As you have seen from the previous presentation, there are a number of ways to start this work, and it can be quite minimal at the start or a significant investment in terms of partnering in the campaign. So I'd really encourage you to research and explore that pledge and pledge to support this campaign. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, there's as you can see, there's lots of activity and it's very, very busy. The councils are doing a terrific job in supporting young people. Our next speaker is Councillor Oliver Walsh. Who's Oliver? Yep, come down, Oliver. Oliver is a councillor at the City of Darebin, and I'll hand over to Oliver to say a few words. There we go.
Thanks very much, David, and thanks for that introduction, and I too will acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we stand, and can I acknowledge our council, my colleagues, colleagues in the sector, the Mayor from the City of Yarra, Roberto Colanzi, and also from Yarra, Amanda Stone, and the Mayor from Moreland, Sam Ratnam. Darebin Council has a strong commitment to young people aged 12 to 25 years, and this is detailed through our organisation's current youth engagement strategy, and which in it has a core element which acknowledges the need to support young people in education and training, and as Samantha touched on it, for a young person, and I've lived it myself, it's it can be a really stressful time. But the commitment is reflected in the following ways: the provision of support with career and vocational skills, provision of work placement experiences, and the promotion and delivery of youth leadership opportunities, which model within our service delivery. The council also has a strong commitment to youth employment. We as a council understand that youth employment is good for social inclusion. It's also good for, of course, for developing the local economy. Currently, Darebin Council is supporting a range of youth engagement activities which support young people from Darebin. These initiatives have characteristics of co-design and collaboration that ensure a variety of stakeholders can support young people and make contributions to and make connections with local businesses and enhance their skills and find actual employment opportunities. Some of these include the 2016 Youth Summit, which more than 100 people from Darebin attended and participated in conversations around and discussions around the key issues surrounding young people, which of course one of them is education and training and helping young people find jobs. These themes became the focus of the Youth Summit, and over the next 18 months, Council will step up its work even more in this space. The Young Entrepreneurs Program, which Kate from Yarra has already touched on, in partnership with the City of Moreland and Yarra, this initiative will provide young people from each municipality to work the opportunity to work directly with businesses and coaches who will act as mentors for these young people and to develop their capacities to start their own business. And this program has commenced in July and will run through till December 2016. I think in Darebin, it's particularly important as Moreland as well, actually, with the with this here where we're meeting today. Of course, the Brunswick Business Incubator in Darebin, in my own ward, we also have the Darebin Enterprise Centre, which is which I was previously on the board of, and which has been one of the most fantastic experiences I've had as a councillor. And the Enterprise Centre is an award-winning business incubator, which focuses on the digital economy. So that's obviously an area which I think we can harness, particularly given we've got two fantastic business incubators in our cities, and let's work with them and let's to drive outcomes. The Northland Youth Centre Employment Support Scheme. Being a major shopping centre, Northland is obviously going to be a major employer for our city. So Council has sought to work with North London to use this asset. This pilot initiative has been negotiated through the Northland Youth Centre and the Northland Shopping Centre to support young people and to help them access local employment opportunities within the shopping centre. The initiative involves supporting young people and helping them to update their resumes, complete an application form and submit these to centre management, who then identify opportunities through supportive retailers to sit an interview for an active position, with the aim of gaining further employment within a local business within the centre. We would encourage all Darebin businesses to support young people in gaining employment. This can be done through a range of opportunities. For example, by signing the employee pledge for the youth campaign on September the 7th, 2016. I also have a personal view, something that I'm working on making council policy. It's difficult, but is it one thing that we could we could do is that currently businesses are paying much significantly higher rates than their residential counterparts. I'd like to look at a scheme of perhaps offering a rate discount or rates rebate if to local businesses, and look at the feasibility of doing that to local businesses which actively employ young people from the local community, as you know, and using that as a bit of an incentive to help employment. But I'll leave it there, and thank you.
Thanks very much, Oliver. You can see that the councils are doing different things and are obviously very committed to young people. Roberto Colanzi is the current mayor of Yarra, so I'm going to hand over to Roberto for a few words.
Thank you very much, David. I'll be suitably brief because Samantha and Oliver have taken all my good lines, so I can be short and sharp and sweet. So it's a great pleasure to be here at the launch of this very important campaign, and on behalf of Yarra Council, I too would like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri as the traditional owners of the land, pay tribute to other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, and pay respects to elders past and present. As we all know and understand, youth unemployment is a significant issue here in the Inner North, as it is across Greater Melbourne. And it's particularly significant and important to see so many local agencies, as well as the three local councils, Yarra, Moreland and Darebin, working together to address this particular problem. There are a number of obvious macroeconomic and even microeconomic issues that are impacting on youth employment. Issues around the reducing numbers of low entry and perhaps even low skill positions immediately post education. Issues around accessing and the affordability of accessing vocational and academic study. Issues around the lack of work experience opportunities and work placements while kids are at school to learn about real life employment options and opportunities that may exist. And also the other macroeconomic elephant in the room is obviously the precarious nature of employment, particularly the casualisation of employment, which has become a significant issue across the entire employment sphere, but particularly for young people, in terms of having some surety of employment, not only just to pay the rent, not only just to pay for food on the table, but also in terms of getting that established foot in the door to develop a CV, to develop a knowledge base and an experience and a skill sets that they can take with them across their employment lifespan. Investing in programs such as this is so important. Yes, it's about the economic growth, it's about the economic circumstances, but fundamentally it's also about the social health of our community. It's providing young people with a sense of place, a sense of contribution, a sense of acknowledgement that they are valuable to our community. Yarra has what we considered to be an extensive youth program, which we seek to engage and activate and sustain our young people in our municipality. And I was particularly pleased with the work that Kate has done, who was very modest. She should take a lot of the credit for the great work that she has done in putting this program together. And it was acknowledged by receiving a national award only last month in Canberra for the category of youth economic participation. And it's a terrific program. I had the opportunity to be at the certificate on completion ceremony earlier this year. And it was great. It was fantastic to hear and speak to these young kids who have gone through this program. And I'm sure when they entered the program, they were uncertain, they were modest, they were shy, they were reticent. But immediately on completion, they were buoyant, they were excited, they had ideas, they were buzzing, and they were chasing down opportunities to grow not only their personal skill sets, but also their employment options and also their business ideas, which is a great thing. So given all of that, Yarra is delighted to be working with all the agencies here, and particularly with our fellow councillors and councils at Moreland and Darebin, to activate and make this a wider, more successful program. So the only thing we need to do now is to get on with it and make it happen. So thank you very much.
Okay, we're nearly there. Actually, I'd just like to invite Peter Hille, who's the chair of the Clifton Hill North Fitzroy Community Bank, Bendigo Bank, up to say a few words. And before I hand over the microphone, I just want to just say thank you to the Bendigo Bank for being a sponsor, but also for being a partner. Peter's actually a member of the task force and has actually added significant contribution in the 12 months that he's been involved. So over to you, Peter.
Thank you very much indeed. I'm just going to say a few words about the bank's involvement. Then I'm going to invite some of the launch partners to come and sign a banner, which is coming in as an indication of their commitment. And then there'll be an invitation after David has a couple of closing remarks for anyone in the room to also sign it. And as you sign it, of course, you're actually making a commitment to do something, not just leave your name there. All right. So look, just a couple of things about the bank. We're really proud to be involved in this program. It's our biggest single investment. We support a lot of community organisations, community projects, but of all of the organisations and projects we've supported, this is the biggest single commitment, and it's over 3 years. This sort of a campaign will need to go on beyond 3 years. The issues we're talking about can't be resolved, but we can move towards solutions in which we've got more confidence, I suppose. And one of the reasons we chose this was because we really like to invest our money where we think there's going to be a significant impact. I mean, you can have most of the requests we get for support are really worthy requests, but it's really looking at the impact because it's a finite resource that we have. So we really look where there are networks operating and collaboration, and there's been quite a number of examples of that over the last 12 months in the campaign. And again, there's been some matters mentioned today that need to be part of the campaign. So I think what you said, Kate, was fantastic. I've argued strongly on the task force that the entrepreneurship should be a key element of the Jobs for Youth campaign. And so I think the sorts of things you were talking about needs to be expanded and picked up within the campaign. And the more the councils and other contributing organisations share what they're doing and share good practice so it can be extended, then this campaign will really go places. I think it's important too that the bank just doesn't put in money, it has a practical involvement, and I have been a member of the task force over the last 18 months or so. I also chair the Industry and Business Engagement Project team. Lead chair, who's with us today, she's the bank's community liaison officer. She's involved in the social media project team, and one of our other directors, Catherine Kennedy, is on the evaluation project team that looks at how effective the campaign is from a year to year. And we think we can broaden our involvement, particularly say through mentoring and the interview programs, work placement. We're going to work on that as a branch. And we think we can also try to get more people engaged in it, both in terms of the 6 elements that were talked about before, including mentoring and speaker bank and offering people work placement, that sort of thing, by reaching out to our shareholders and our customers who are business people and our community partners, many of whom have got a lot of young people who would benefit from a successful campaign, but also where there are parents and other people who may well be able to offer some industry or employment support. So that's happening. We're also promoting the program. It's been picked up across a couple of regions across Victoria and is being talked about at state level. So there's a potential for getting more support for this thing, because interestingly enough, it's not just in this inner north region where issues such as employment for youth or employment opportunities for youth and the transition from school to work are loom large. Ollie spoke about a youth summit. You can have those anywhere, and you'll probably find the same sorts of things coming out. So we're in it for we're in it for the short to medium term, and hopefully it'll be the longer term. We're really proud to be involved, And I'd now like to ask some people to come forward, and Andrew is going to stand behind that so that if you press hard, the banner doesn't fall over. First of all, we'll get our municipality reps, the Mayor of Moreland, Councillor Sam Ratnam, to come up and sign, followed by Oliver and Roberto from Darebin and Yarra, respectively. Here they go. Sam, you get to choose the first spot, wherever you want. I'll sign it when I finish speaking. But Ben Rogers, who's the Executive Officer of the Inner North Community Foundation, who are one of the major sponsors of the program, please thank Ben as he comes forward. Give Ben a round of applause. Also to Jane McNally from Melbourne Polytechnic, one of our key partners in the program. Thanks very much, Jane. Round of applause for Jane. And from AGA, another partner with ours, Stephen Lewis. Please thank Stephen. And so the banner will be there for you to sign once David has said a few closing comments. Remember what Kate said, she's interested in anyone coming and having a talk to her. And I do encourage you all to make a personal commitment, whether it be from your own business point of view or from the organisation you work with, or something that you can do as an individual. Thank you very much indeed. Here's David.
Okay, thanks very much, Peter. So you can actually say the campaign is officially launched, which is fantastic.
Oh yes, that's right. Oh look, the campaign is launched.
No champagne, no ships. We just launched. Just to finish off today, where are we? I'll catch up here. Before we actually do conclude, I just wanted to mention we do have Brett Salinger, who's actually doing video and taking photos. He's actually set up a bit of a video room just down the hallway here, and we're actually hoping that if you've got 1 minute, you can actually get in front of the camera and talk very quickly. Give us 1 minute grab on what it was like in your first job, or how you found your first job, or why you're involved in the campaign, or an idea for a solution for this issue. What we'll actually do with that information is that we're using social media very strongly, and we think that some of your stories are actually powerful. And so if we can actually share that stuff out there across our social media platforms, we'll actually hopefully get some more pickup across our region and get more people involved. So when we finish in a minute, we're obviously going to have some refreshments, but there is an opportunity for you to get involved. Just to finish off today's launch, I'd like to thank you all for attending. If you'd like to know how to get involved in the campaign, there's information in the packs. But there's also the Jobs for Youth Talent Community, which is pretty much the one-stop shop for the campaign. We have a Facebook page, Twitter account, and an Instagram account. So we've got all those bases covered, which is fantastic. I'd now like to invite you to come and have some refreshments with us, and thank you for attending, and look forward to working with you as we go forward.